moving on from that black pill, let's talk about the decay and degeneration of America's elite class. I guess we'll kick this off with Elliot Page, the stunning and brave gentleman who has just transitioned. Now, I did have the interview with Bolsonaro. I'm not saying that it's because Ellen Page got told by Bolsonaro that he'd wolf whistle at her that this has happened, but I have my suspicions. But anyway, the important thing is going on to the Time magazine piece. So let's talk about that, because this is a very, very interesting piece. That's a fluff piece by Time magazine talking about how Ellen Page transitioned to become Elliot Page, and I find this really, really interesting. So they say, we're speaking in late February, so this couple of months ago, well, a month ago, is the first interview that Page has given since disclosing in December that he is transgender, and a heartfelt letter posted to Instagram, and he is crying before I've even uttered a question. Sorry, I'm not going to be emotional, but that's cool, right? He says, smiling through his tears. No. If trans men are men, then we expect you to act like men, and it is not acceptable to just be like, oh, I'm just going to cry on command. You're not a girl, right? You're not a girl. You're not allowed to just cry. Show some self-control. Right, that if you want to be a man and you want to be accepted as a man by other men, fellow men, no, you dry your eyes and buck up your ideas, okay? Like, I don't care if you're 5 foot nothing, no blubbing is acceptable. Pull yourself together, right? Next thing, increased social acceptance has led to more young people describing themselves as trans. 1.8% of Gen Z compared to 0.2% of boomers, according to a recent Gallup poll. And this has fueled conservatives who are stoking fears about a transgender craze. Well, I mean, that's a massive increase. Like, you go from 0.2 to almost 2%. That's huge. And that's in, 20 years? 30 years, something like that. What's it going to be in another 30 years? It's going to be like 5%. In another 30 years, 10%, like if this trend continues. But, and this is on top of course, all of the other things where you've got activists who are like, yeah, well, we've had a 1,200% increase in transgender children in British Columbia. Which
in 10 years. Perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal.
From 5 to over 500.
Nothing suspicious about any of this, right? President Joe Biden has restored the right of transgender military members to serve openly. No one has a right to serve in the military. It's a duty sometimes. It might be a privilege, but you don't have a right to serve in the military. And in Hollywood, trans people have never had a more meaningful time on screen. Meanwhile, J.K. Rowling is leveraging her cultural capital to oppose transgender equality in the name of feminism. That's right, J.K. Rowling is advocating for transgender camps now or something. And lawmakers are arguing in the halls of Congress over the validity of gender identities. Sex has become a political football in the culture wars, says a professor of political science at Brooklyn College. Well, yeah, but that's what you get for the left making it a political football. Like, don't point the finger at other people, right? But anyway, let's just go back to this picture for a second, right? Do you want to be like that person? Does that person look happy? Like, what's with the slouch?
Not to be rude, but there are so many people who transition to being a woman who look like a better woman than this looks like a man.
Oh yeah, as examples of manhood go, I mean, ladies, are you impressed? Are you looking at that going, oh yeah, I can't wait to date Elliot Page? Like, God. And anyway, so I just can't get over it. Like, look at this lanky loser. Why would I want to? Who the hell is this? Go get a job, kid. Anyway, Page says, what I was anticipating was a lot of love and support and a massive amount of hatred and transphobia. And that's essentially what's happened. Where? I'm happy to accept you as a man and then bully you.
That's sort of part of being the man, I guess.
Yeah. If you want to be accepted as a man, you've got to be accepted to be treated like a man by other men. So stop crying. Page's I mean it. Page's announcement, which made him one of the most famous out of trans people in the world, started trending on Twitter in more than 20 countries. I wonder how many of those countries are Arabic. He gained more than 400,000 new followers on Instagram on that day alone. Right? You can see how the incentives are going here. Thousands of articles were published. Likes and shares reached the millions. Casting directors reached out to Page's manager, saying it would be an honor to cast Page in their next big movie. So many, many benefits. But what were the downsides, man? There must have been some huge downsides. Well, time tell us. right-wing podcasters readied their rhetoric about women in men's locker rooms. Oh no, not commentary. Anything but commentary. I mean, it's probably a good thing Rush Limbaugh's died, I suppose. Otherwise, it would be tragic. But the point is, who cares about women in men's locker rooms? Apart from women, that is. Because, I mean, like, if I was a woman, I wouldn't want to be in a man's locker room. I've got to use men's locker rooms. I didn't enjoy that anyway. But, like
men don't even want to be in men's
yeah,
locker rooms.
exactly. Why the hell would women want to be in men's locker rooms? But that's not exactly dangerous for the men, is it? Like, it's not the same as in the males becoming in women's locker rooms. You know, it's not the same kind of level of potential threat there. Again, on things that we were told that would never happen. You know, it's not the same. But yeah, okay, so some right-wingers are like, well, it just seems inappropriate. Okay, fine. But I'm happy to accept Elliot Page as a man. Elliot. In 2014, Page came out as gay, despite feeling for years that being out was impossible given his career. In an emotional speech at the Human Rights Campaign conference, Page talked about being part of an industry that places crushing standards on actors and viewers alike. There are pervasive stereotypes about masculinity and femininity that define how we're supposed to act, dress, and speak, and they serve no one. Well, actually, they serve 98.2% of Zoomers and more than 99% of every other demographic. Because it turns out that most men and women on Earth are interested in starting a family, finding a significant other, and being happy. It just seems they don't serve a 5'1" actress who has become an actor. That's the nobody that they serve. So a very egocentric position.
Also, it doesn't seem to do much for the argument. Like, there's always this argument that people do these things as an "oh, look at me" kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like after the legalization of gay marriage, and when homosexuality became, very normalized within American culture. Paige comes out as gay, and now transgenderism is the new thing. Comes out as trans. I'm not saying it's necessarily like she's lying or anything, but it doesn't help the argument.
I would be more inclined to say that social media response is doing this, right? If you say, hey, I'm trans, and 400,000 people, on top of the existing large audience that Paige has, like jumps on and goes, yeah, we love you for doing this, then you're going to feel a great high. You're going to be, I'm being love bombed. I mean, that what I'm doing is the right thing. Well, I'll continue doing the right thing because, like, if all you've got is, like, talk radio going, well, I don't want women in men's locker rooms, you might... Who cares about you? Millions of people are literally saying, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Shut the hell up. But anyway, right? Since you've become a man, Elliot, you might want to learn about how to be one. And the question is, are you still gay? Because if you were gay when you were a woman, you became a man, and you're still attracted to women, that's straight.
Except you're a trans man.
No, trans men are men, right? So we're going to accept Elliot. We're a very progressive, forward-thinking podcast. Disavow the drag queen story time stuff, obviously. But we're happy to accept...
Not that forward-thinking.
We're not that forward-thinking. But we accept Elliot Page as a man because we're conservatives. But the point is, if you're not gay, then you're straight, right? Trans super straight, yes. And this is really interesting because in 2018, he found love marrying, and this is the way they put it, he found love marrying choreographer Emma Portner in 2018, who was a lesbian.
He found love with a lesbian?
Yes. So this man found love with a lesbian, and they got married in 2018. But the thing is, I guess it didn't occur to Mr. Page that maybe his lesbian wife was actually interested in girls, which... he was at the time, because they separated last summer and divorced at the beginning of this year. So it's like, hi, I'm a man. Yeah, but I'm a lesbian. Yeah, but I'm a man. It's like, yeah, but I'm into chicks.
Don't worry, I'm not getting the transition. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Well, actually he did.
Did he do the whole thing?
Yeah.
So he's...
We'll get to it. Right. So I guess she wasn't straight. She's like, well, look, I'm not into dudes. And he's like, yeah, but I'm a dude now. So, well, then we got to split up. But anyway... he was inspired by such trailblazing icons like Janet Mock and Laverne Cox, who found success in Hollywood while living authentically. Ah, yes. There's one thing I think about looking at Mr. Elliot Page is authenticity. That's what I think. I think there's a man's man right there. Trans writers helped him understand his feelings. Page saw himself reflected in P. Carl's memoir, Becoming a Man. Eventually, shame and discomfort gave way to revelation. I was finally able to embrace being transgender and letting myself fully become who I am. which essentially translates into "I'm a manlet." Sorry, Vicky, are you saying that you're not looking at Mr. Elliot Page and going, you know what? He's pretty loaded. He's famous. He's a handsome boy, you know?
Bulging with muscles.
Yeah, exactly. It's everything a woman wants.
Never thought I'd find a man shorter than me.
Vicky just said, I never thought I'd find a man shorter than me. Well, I mean, you know. As a trans person who is white, wealthy, and famous, Paige has a unique kind of privilege and an opportunity to advocate for those with less. Yes, I mean, if there's one thing that you can say about Elliot Page is that he certainly has privilege, but I guess that privilege wasn't enough. He was like, no, well, you know what? I need male privilege. I may be a rich, famous Hollywood celebrity, but that's not enough privilege for me. According to the US Trans Survey, large-scale report from 2015, transgender people of colour are more likely to experience unemployment harassment by the police and refusals of medical care. I mean, let's assume that's true. So what? Elliot Page is as pasty as it comes. I mean, honestly, I'm expecting Elliot Page to turn into some kind of incel radical at some point. I'm not even joking. Anyway, nearly half of all black respondents reported being denied equal treatment. Again, how's that relevant? Verbally harassed or being physically attacked in the last year. I wonder who by. Trans people as a group fare much worse on such stats than the general population. My privilege has allowed me to have resources to get through and be where I am today. And of course, I want to use that privilege and the platform in the ways that I can. So just to be clear, right, this is not something you would recommend for a regular person, for someone who doesn't have the privilege of being a rich, famous Hollywood celebrity. If you don't have access to the resources to get through and be where he is today, then it's not for you, because it's just going to be much more difficult, much more tough. Try not to do it. But what will this mean for Page's career? Well, Page has appeared in many projects. He also faced challenges landing female leads because he didn't fit into Hollywood's narrow mold. Since Page's Instagram post, his team is seeing more activity than they have in years. Many of the offers coming in to direct and to produce to act are trans-related, but also there are some dude roles. So women BTFO'd, male privilege confirmed real. All the incentives are in the pro-trans direction, and I'm sure the dude roles will be proper leading manly stuff. Action movies, yes. And it won't be anything weird and kooky. But the funniest thing about this is just the way it's being presented. If we can go to the post I put on Gab, meme magic is real. It is real. How has this become like this? Literally the virgin meme, down to the smallest details. The only thing missing is the headphones and the glasses. Why would you want to become a loser? Like, honestly, why would you want that? I just don't get it. But anyway, so you could be an attractive woman, or you could be a loser. And anyway, so this is not like... The reason I focused on this particular one is just because we had so much information from Mr. Page himself. But transitioning seems to be something incredibly common in Hollywood. Now, I haven't got any stats on this because obviously they don't exist. But I would love someone to do some sort of survey or study or something like that on it. Because it's everywhere.
I love this thing as well. Like in 2014, she was in fear of coming out as gay, and now she's in fear of coming out as trans. Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
What, you think they have been homophobic in 2014 and anti-trans now?
Yeah.
What, you nuts?
Well, exactly. If we can go to the next one, right? There are loads of these articles. 10 celebrities who proudly support their transgender kids. You know, like loads of these sort of articles out there. Like Dwayne Wade, who I believe is like an NBA star, has a transgender daughter. Ooh, okay, well that's coincidental. Cynthia Nixon, the Sex and the City woman, has also a transgender son. Oh, what a coincidence. Charlize Theron, one of her children, is also transgender. Wow, that's weird, isn't it? Just all these famous people. And Cindy Barshop of The Real Housewives of New York City also has a transgender. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, before they have a I don't know if it's son or daughter, to be honest, a son, called Shiloh, who is also transgender. And it goes on and on, like Jaden Smith, Will Smith, like they're just loads. And then you've got like celebrity trans families where you've got like various rich families who make up the sort of cultural elite in the United States. And again, you loads of them. You just go through and it's all different ones. It's just insane. There seems to be this vast overrepresentation. And my hypothesis on this is, of course, left-wing culture combined with vast amounts of social media positive feedback and reinforcement makes this thing trendy. And this is something that they I think are not discouraging among kids who are seeing this in the media that they consume on their social media feeds and going, hey mum, I might be trans. And what's that? Look at the people who are becoming trans. Look at them, right? They're not the most impressive people out there. Right? They're not the most impressive people out there, but it is a way of gaining a lot of attention if your parents are famous and you're always in their shadow and you want something special of your own. Well, hey, I'm this new special thing that everyone on social media will love.
It's also a thing in trend.
That's the point. It's the trend. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.